Hi guys, it's Jan. One of my favorite things to do is arm balances, and I'm going to show you today tricks and little tips to get your crow pose going, or Bakasana. So we're going to start coming to our mats and placing our hands and our feet on our mat. So you're going to look at your feet and plant them about hip distance apart, maybe just a little bit wider. Bend your knees and lift your heels up off the mat. So you want to reach your hands to the mat and try and plant your palms all the way down to the mat, okay? If you can't do that, you can bend your knees a little bit more. If that doesn't solve the problem, you're going to take blocks and place them underneath your hands. So the blocks are shoulder distance apart and your hands are completely on top of the blocks. So you don't want your hands drifting off the blocks, off the edges. Place them right there on the block. You're going to draw your navel into your spine. So this is essential for a crow pose. You want to really engage your core. So I'm going to round my middle back up towards the sky, and I'm going to separate space between my shoulder blades, wrapping my torso or my shoulder blades around my torso. I'm going to create these what we call chaturanga arms. So my elbows are going to come close in to my ribs. So I'm creating basically a shelf for my knees to rest on. I'm going to take my knees to my outer upper arms. So I'm trying to get my knees above my elbows. They're on the outsides of my arms so I can squeeze my knees in. So not only am I drawing my navel to my spine, but I'm squeezing my knees in. I'm just going to hold this. Holding this position is actually going to increase your strength to eventually come up into the full pose. So it's not a waste of time just to stay here and breathe. If you want to go a little bit further, your elbows are going to start to shift over your wrists. So you notice my lower arm bone begins to become more perpendicular to the floor. And I'm rocking up high on my toes. As I draw my navel into my spine, my feet start to lift because they get lighter. And then I'm just going to lift one foot up off the mat. Again, hold that and breathe for a few breaths. And then drop that foot down. Rock back for a moment to rest. Then I'm going to do again on the other side. So drawing my elbows forward over my wrists, squeezing my knees into my upper arms, creating that shelf with my arms, chaturanga arms, drawing my navel to my spine. So I'm rounding my middle back way up towards the sky. Shifting my elbows forward and then maybe lifting the other leg. And just breathing there. If you notice that you can't get your knees to come high above your elbows, if they're sliding down, okay, one thing you can do is take a block and stand on the block. Turning your toes slightly out, your hands back down to the mat. So now that I've lifted my feet up, my hips have come up, my knees are going to come up higher on my upper arms. And then I'm going to rock forward again, maybe lifting one foot, and then maybe lifting the other foot up. Good. And one last tip, if you're just starting to get that lift, and you're lifting both feet just for a little bit, right? You can start to rock back on your feet and then rock forward on your hands like you're rocking forward and back. So it's not like you're really lifting and holding it. You're just rocking and lifting your feet just for a moment. And then eventually, you start to count breaths. So when you rock forward, hold it just a little bit longer and then rock back. And lift your hands to remind yourself, right? If you're balancing on your feet, it can be just as easy to balance on your hands. And then maybe pulling your heels way up, maybe even straightening the arms one day. Eventually dropping back down. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Have fun practicing your crow pose. I'll see you next time. Namaste.